wanting to get into the cattle business. And one night I was looking on Craigslist and there was a guy that had some cattle to sell. So I went and looked at him.
Robert takes his trailer to pick up the cattle and brings along one of his horses.
The horse I had, he was a Hancock driftwood horse called Long John.
On his way home, Robert makes a pit stop at a local store.
And I went strictly for dog food and a tent for my kids. And I'm out of the store within 20 minutes. I'm coming back out and I hear this lady screaming, "Stop him, stop him, he stole my bike." And when I look up, the man on the bicycle is coming towards me, and there's two other men kind of pursuing him afoot, but they're getting outran by this guy on the bike.
Bike thefts are very common, both from the store itself as well as from the bike racks outside. Very rarely is something like that witnessed by the victim personally, but the victim happened to witness this, which garnered the attention of other shoppers.
Robert instinctively jumps in to help.
I'm like, yeah, I can T-bone him and I can cut him off, and I'm pushing this cart. Well, I got 100 pounds of dog food in it and a tent, and so I'm not very fast. But as he comes by me, and it just clicked, and I thought, I'll just run him down and rope him. Riding and roping, it's natural to me for what I do for a living and participating in rodeos. So to me, it wasn't anything out of the ordinary. I thought, well, you can't outrun Long John, so we'll just run you down and stick it on you. So I jumped the horse out. He'd already gone maybe 180 feet on the bike. He's going as fast as he can go on the sprocket of this 10-speed bike. He's already moving. He's not really looking behind him because he thinks he's getting away.
With his two dogs, Hash and Mac, joining in on the chase, Robert's adrenaline is pumping, and he's not thinking about what he might be getting himself into.
When people step in to stop crimes on their own, they're putting themselves in a lot of danger because you don't know the level of violence that the perpetrator could try to enact onto you. So you have to be really cautious. What if he had a gun?
But I don't think that that even crossed his mind. He had the opportunity to do something, and so he did. And in his mind, this could be this person's only mode of transportation, and stealing ain't right.
If it was my wife or any of my family, if they were the one having something stolen from them, I would appreciate if somebody stepped in and helped them.
Still trying to escape, Robert swings his lasso in the air and takes aim at the bike thief.
I rope him, and the rope goes around his neck and one arm when I catch him.
And in Robert's words, he roped him just like you would a cow.
He's asking me, "Who are you? Are you the cops? Or what are you doing? Are you a sheriff?" And I just stayed quiet. And so when I drag him onto the concrete, he grabs a hold of the tree, and then I continue to hold him there until I got on the phone and I called 911.
911, what's the address of the emergency?
We got a guy just stole a bike. I got him roped and tied to a tree.
And where is the person that took the bike now?
He's tied to a tree I got him roped from a horse.
What?
I got him roped from a horse.
I was just trying to put it into words to where she could understand it, and she still didn't understand it.
There's this disconnect of how in the world did you take a rope and stop someone who was on a bike? It's not something you say every day, and so it takes a little while for your brain to comprehend that it actually happened.
I sat there and I held him there until the Eagle Point PD showed up.
26-year-old Jamie Coots is heading home after a quick trip to the drugstore.
I'm walking directly downtown, probably the nicest part of Vancouver. About halfway home, I could feel somebody walking really close behind me. When I was looking at my phone, I can kind of feel that they're just stopped there.
Jamie feels uneasy, so she looks behind her to try and get a better look at the person.
He's maybe 155 pounds. He's a small guy. I would say 5'7", 5'8", a little bit darker skin, darker hair, dark eyes.
Besides his eyes, Jamie can't see the man's face. It's completely hidden by his sweatshirt hood and mask.
This is very typical of someone who has ill intent. They want to be incognito.
If Jamie calls 911, will the man hear and get angry? Instead, she decides to turn on her phone's camera.
My only thought was, you can't go home. And so that's why my body told me to record what's happening. I decide that it's in my best interest to, one, continue recording, and two, get somewhere that's highly populated. That's when it popped into my head, you know what, I'm gonna go to the skate park. There's a lot of people there. And if this man decided to do anything, there would be so much eyes. I went right to the absolute center of the skate park, thinking that he wasn't gonna follow me in, and he continued to follow.
Nothing is stopping this man, and Jamie is panicked.
I'm just trying to look for the biggest group of people and hope to get help.
Hey, do you mind if I sit with you guys? This guy's literally been following me in circles for like 40 minutes, and I've been recording it.
Yeah,
and he's
cool.
literally just standing behind me, and I don't know his issue.
Yeah, that's cool. Why don't you just pull off the safe?
But even when Jamie sits down, the stalker doesn't go away.
In the video, you can see he's either holding something or he's got fists in his jacket pockets because his hands are in there, and he's trying to pull his fists out but having kind of a hard time.
Does this man have a weapon? What does he want?
He's probably sizing up the situation to see if he could ultimately take her or attack her. Had she not gone to a group of people, maybe we would not have seen her again.
The man lingers for a few minutes, but as more and more skaters turn to watch him, he finally leaves.
You can see him start to walk away, and then one of the girls who was skateboarding there tried to approach him, but he continued to walk away.
Now, all Jamie wants to do is get home. But she's paralyzed with fear.
I saw the direction that he walked off in, and when I was ready, I made the mission home, but I had eyes all around me the entire time.
A gas station clerk opens for business after working the graveyard shift.
We're 24/7, 365. We run 24 hours. My employees work in a enclosed glass bulletproof booth, and the stores are locked overnight.
I opened around 6 o'clock. I was about to open the door anyhow, but I saw that the person outside, and he saw the door is locked. Then he was going back. I thought they are in need, so I just opened the door. He didn't look dangerous, and because of the pandemic, everyone has the mask on. He come inside, he just walk around to the cooler.
As the man slowly walks to get a drink, two of his friends come up to the door. Mustafa buzzes them in too, with no idea of how much danger he's just put himself in.
There was kids. They are about like 20 to 22, I guess. I was not nervous to let them in.
So the other two guys walk in, and what's strange is they don't even look around the store. They just walk to the front.
Mustafa has full control of all the doors.
The door is electronic, automatic lock. I have the remote all the time.
So Mustafa opens the door to go in the back.
But that's when something terrifying happens.
He gets rushed by the three customers, and the original customer pulls the gun out of his hoodie and points it right at Mustafa's face.
He was like, give me the money, show me the money, where's the money? And he said, I will shoot you. He hit me on my head, and I was bleeding. I think maybe I'm gonna die.
That's when one of the robbers, who is armed with a crowbar, rushes over to the front door.
He tried to go outside, and he found the door is locked. Then he started shouting, the door is locked.
He actually, when he sees the door locked, he puts the crowbar into the door and tries to jimmy the door.
Then the guy who had a gun with him, he go over there.
So while the two geniuses with the weapons are trying to open the front door, Mustafa is left with the one guy that has no weapon.
So when I thought that, okay, if they don't have any weapons with them, I can fight with him, right? So I was trying to keep him so that I can close the door. I'm trying to fight him so that he can get scared.
To Mustafa's relief, his strategy works.
Then he moved back. Then I locked myself in.
Mustafa gets in the booth and he locks the door, and he's immediately calling 911.
With the robbers apparently stuck, their accomplice, who is sitting outside in the getaway car, tries to come to their rescue.
He jumps the curb, and then the door gets pushed open.
As soon as this car plows through, it barely even opens the two doors. The three of them narrowly escape, trying to inch their way in between this little sliver.
Police arrive within 5 minutes. The robbers have already escaped, but don't realize they've left behind a very critical piece of evidence.
That license plate peeked right through the doors.
A brazen burglary is underway at a pizza restaurant.
They started smashing the glass with a crowbar. Then they climbed in.
This is breaking and entering 101.
That they've got their hoods up, they're wearing gloves, they're covered in head to toe, just trying to keep their identities concealed.
And these burglars have a unique technique. Get down low, crawl, then roll.
So we have motion detectors, and they're part of the alarm. And that's probably why they were rolling around in the restaurant.
This looks like an action movie.
Like there's a laser beam that's going to touch them, and the alarm's going to go off, and the bars are going to shut down on top of them if they trigger the alarm.
So even though they weren't able to open up the safe and get the money that they were looking for, they didn't want to leave empty-handed.
They did take my boombox, my drill, and my flashlight.
Their most baffling haul? Some children's toys.
A bunch of stuffed animals and things from the game room.
Then, crawling out the same way they came in, the thieves disappear into the night. Jesse learns about the theft when he arrives to open up a few hours later.
When we got to the store, we checked the cameras. We noticed they crawled around all over the restaurant to try to find the money.
Thankfully, the $2,000 that was locked in the safe remains untouched, but these bandits have caused another $2,000 in property damage for Jesse.
Well, these burglars, they need to be caught. They're a nuisance. They're a plague.
Angry, Jesse takes the video from the cameras he installed only 6 months earlier to the local news.
3 thieves rolling across the floor of a Mr. Gaddy's restaurant at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Well, they came over here with a crowbar and they sat there and smashed it about 20 times. These guys watch too much TV, too many movies.
The crooks are mocked for not thinking about the security cameras.
They made a serious miscalculation about where the surveillance camera was pointing.
And they get a catchy name.
Meet the Inchworm Bandits, huh?
The Inchworm Bandits.
The staff is actually taken to calling them the Inchworm Bandits.
It really just nods back to the fact of the movements that they were doing across the restaurant to try to keep low and do this really quietly. And it's also a catchy name.
Jesse pleads with the band of bandits to stay away from small business owners.
I don't know, these guys need to get a life. They need something to do.
December 27th, 2020. New York City. It's the holiday season, and Columbia University professor Victoria De Grazia is enjoying some time with her beloved dog, Luca.
Luca's 7 years old. He's a long-haired dachshund. He now reaches maturity. He's quite calm. He's very sweet.
On this afternoon, Victoria isn't feeling well.
I was resting because I had a cold.
So her partner takes Luca for his walk. He stops at a deli and ties Luca to the outdoor fruit stand, something Victoria has done countless times before.
Sort of like a controlled situation. I usually would put him completely under the fruit stand so he wasn't even visible, to passersby when I would take him out, and then never for more than 5 minutes.
In New York City, it's not uncommon to see dogs just tied up with their leash right outside of a store.
In this country, health and safety laws usually prohibit dog owners from bringing their dogs into restaurants or stores. Most of the time, nothing bad happens.
But this time, that's not the case.
When the boyfriend comes outside, the dog is gone. And we see the suspect pet the dog, not really doing anything that to a passerby may seem out of the ordinary.
And the dog's accepting this man.
Then the suspect unties the dog's leash and he flees with the dog.
Police tell them that dog thefts are far more common than people realize.
There are rings that operate to steal certain kinds of dogs. Unfortunately for Luca, the kind of dog he is makes him a target for people who make possibly thousands of dollars in a sale after the theft. Luca's owner jumps into action to try to get him back.
We made up signs. Have you seen this dog? Please give us information. This is a family dog. Please return the dog as soon as you can. We love Luca.
The response is instant, and soon the whole neighborhood is looking for Luca.
Tens of thousands of people knew about this.
The story really starts to go viral. The social media reaction goes around like a wildfire. Even the NYPD 24th Precinct shares information about Luca on their Twitter account.
But police also warn Victoria that many stolen dogs are never recovered. Then, 3 days after Luca disappears, Victoria gets a surprising call.
From a woman in a little bottega, a little store. She said that Sunday night, the night Luca was stolen, a guy had come into her store with a dog and was trying to sell it to her.
The woman tells Victoria the man's behavior made her suspicious.
She said, I'm not interested, I have a dog. Besides, that dog looks to me like he's stolen. And he ran out. She saw him go into the next store.
The woman suspects that after he left her store and went to another one, the man found someone who was willing to buy the dog. This store owner confirms that a man who came in that night did sell a dog to one of his customers. He tells police exactly where that person lives, so they head there to find out if the dog is indeed Luca. A few hours later, Victoria gets another call.
I really didn't think I'd see him again. I got a call. We have the dog, and we'll be bringing him home. His fur looked a little spiky. He was still sort of embarrassed looking and went and hid under the bed for several hours. And then the next day he was himself.
Thankfully for Victoria, Luca was recovered safely and they're able to be a happy family again.
Here he is, his little furry self. Very sweet, you're sweet, okay. There he is.